This podcast is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cuckold Marriage Podcast. I'm cuckoldress Lexie Meadows, and tonight we're sharing a story that neither of us saw coming. I headed downtown for a night on my own, and I met someone completely unexpected, and what started as one experience that we had planned turned into a completely different one. There were some surprises and some lessons and a lot for Chris and I to unpack afterwards. So if you've ever wondered what happens when reality doesn't follow the script, this episode's for you. Before we jump into today's episode, I have a couple quick announcements. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to the cucks who have been sending me gifts. I've received several wonderful things, including some beautiful lingerie, which I then show on my Fansly. I love opening the packages. You guys are the best. If you would like to join my Fansly or book a private one-on-one chat with me, you can do so through cuckoldresslexie.com. Also, we're really excited to share that we're in the process of launching our Patreon. We're putting together a ton of great benefits for our members, including an exclusive community where we can interact with each other, continue the conversations from our podcast, and connect on a more personal level. We're still putting the finishing touches on it, so stay tuned. We can't wait to share it with you guys. So, Chris, you ready to get started?
Let's get started. So I'm excited about this episode because we're going to be talking about a night that you had out. This was a few weeks ago, and I still haven't gotten all the details of this night. So I'm going to be learning along with everybody else some of the details of what took place that night. And I'm super excited about it. So, to kind of start off, and this is really kind of a story that has a lot of twists and turns to it, as Lexie alluded to in the opening. And to start off, you were going to go downtown and spend the night with a guy who you had seen two other times. You already been with him two other times.
Mm-hmm.
And and this guy's a bull. And I was excited about it because he actually is pretty decent at keeping me involved as well, like sending pictures and all that stuff. So I was excited about it because not every guy is like that. So were you looking forward to it, or what were you excited about for that night out with this guy you've already seen twice?
Looking forward to it. I mean, he and I have great banter. He lets me go on and on about politics and everything like that. And he's, I love a guy that's willing to let me just rant on that stuff sometimes. So he's a great conversationalist. I've enjoyed my time with him. We have fun in the bedroom, and, it's always been smooth sailing those other two times that I met with him.
Yeah. And so I expected the same thing. So you get there, and I remember you got to downtown. And so this was a few weeks ago. So it was during the World Cup. So I remember you right away went to a bar and started to watch the World Cup. So tell me about how that was going. Were you flirting? What was happening, while you were out at the bar?
It was great. I was having the best time. Like I said, he was letting me just go on and on about, what's going on in the world and what's going on in the US and how I felt about the things that are happening. And he's always just so genuine and personable. We were watching the World Cup. We were sitting outside. I was having a ball, and he was too. Everything was going great, and there was flirting, and he's just a nice guy.
Yeah. And so, at this point, I'm at home as per usual. My angst is still relatively low, although you sent me a video. Actually, you didn't even send it to me. You posted a video on Fansly with you out and about and saying you were with the bull. And so I saw that. And obviously, I was getting a little bit angsty, but still it was relatively calm because you were out at a bar. I knew nothing crazy was going on. So you're having a good time with this guy, but then soon, not too long later, things kind of went sideways. Can you talk about that?
Well, I will never, judge too harshly someone who has a few too many to drink, because I think we've all been there. And, he started to, show
Just had a little bit much.
He had a little too much, having trouble focusing his eyes on me, just kind of zoning out. And so the bartender kept serving him, and I finally had to go to the bartender. I was like, could you not? Like, he's gone. Could you stop serving him? And they're like, okay, so yeah, sorry. I was polite, of course, but, I was just like, yeah, no more for him, please. And it kind of went from 0 to 60 real quick, and he started losing his balance and everything. And so I was like, okay, we got to get him out of here, like we got to walk back to the hotel. Luckily, we were at a bar that was literally, diagonally like across the street basically from the hotel. Thank goodness. And so I had to guide him and keep him from falling and stumbling, back to the hotel. And as we got close to the room, it kind of went off the rails a little bit. Again, he's a nice guy. But he started getting a little belligerent. And
So at that point in time, I think you called me at that point in time and discussed it, and we both decided the best thing for you to do was to kind of, just for your safety, exit that situation. I mean, you had been with the guy before, known him probably at this point 7 months, but we just wanted you out of that situation.
yeah, I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
It started to feel unsafe. And, I am 5'4". Well, I'm barely 5'4". I'm gonna claim that last quarter inch. Okay, I'm just keeping it. So it's a nice even 5'4", and he was over 6 feet. And as a woman, you just you got to be on your guard. Even if you know someone, even if you've been with them before, if circumstances change, you have to know when it's no longer a safe situation. And I just didn't feel all that safe, so I hightailed it out of there.
Yeah, and so I think this is a good lesson learned too, is the second that you called me and we both just felt even like a tiny bit of doubt, we said, get the hell out of there. It's not worth it. And so I think that's a good lesson for everybody is prioritize your safety. If your gut is telling you get out of the situation, get out of the situation. So you went, you got him back up to the room, good for you.
Yeah, tucked him in and said, I'll be right back.
Yeah. And you went downstairs, you were on the phone with me, and I just said, just get your own room. And so you got your own room.
Mhm.
And so actually at that point in time was interesting because you were done with him. I knew you weren't going to sleep with him. You had gotten your own room, and it was probably around midnight at this time. It wasn't like super late, but it also wasn't super early. So it was probably around midnight, maybe even a tiny bit after midnight. And you call me and you're like, I'm in my room now, and I'm in my own room. And so you, I thought you were done. Like I thought that was the end of the night, and I actually felt a sense of relief. I was like, oh, okay, because remember, the cuck angst is really weird because you want something to happen, but you also don't want something to happen at the same time. It's really bizarre. It's very hard to explain. So when you went back to your own room, I thought it was over, and you had other plans, right, Lexie?
I mean, I went all the way downtown. I came to party. I was enjoying myself, and I wasn't ready to call it a night. Everyone was partying, the World Cup. Everyone was, I mean, it was just there's a lot of people out, like a huge, abnormally large amount of people, and it just, I don't know. I felt FOMO, like I didn't want to miss out, and I didn't want to like go to sleep while everyone is just out enjoying themselves.
Yeah, and so Lexi, you said to me on the phone, um, you said, I'm gonna go back out and party and I may have some fun tonight. And when you said I may have some fun tonight, I knew exactly what that meant. It meant you may have some fun with somebody else. And you never say that to me. So what were you thinking, as you were about to go out? Were you on the prowl?
I was a little bit just because, I had these grand plans for the night, and they got kind of ruined. And I was kind of like, "Ugh, you know what? This sucks. I don't really like want to just go to bed alone."
Yeah. So at that point in time, remember my cupcakes had gone down because you were in your own room. At that point in time, when you said I might have a little bit of fun tonight, my cupcakes went through the roof because we went from a situation where I knew what was going to happen. I knew the guy. I knew you were going to go home with him. And so everything, there was still going to be angst, but I knew what was going to happen. Now I went into a space of zero clue how this night was going to go, except for the fact that I knew my wife was on the prowl. So tell me what happened next when you went out. Where'd you go? Who'd you meet first? What were you thinking? Like what happened when you left your hotel room? Because at this point in time now, I don't talk to you again for several hours.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I got to keep you on your toes.
Hmm.
I mean, I think I do a really good job of that.
You do a good job with me on my toes.
But I went out and I met a group of girls. There were like three girls, and they were very friendly, and they kind of like took me in because I was a lone straggler, and so they were like, "You can hang out with us," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the best." And so I hung out with them, and we just kind of went bar hopping. Um, And it was fun. But I mean, the whole time, I'm like, I'm talking with them, I'm enjoying my time with them, but I'm like, I'm looking around.
You're looking around. You're looking for somebody. Now
But just seeing what was available.
you met a guy pretty fast, but that didn't work out because he thought you weren't a sure thing, right? Tell me about that guy and like you approached him and all that stuff. What did he look like?
Well, I don't know if I approached him or if he approached me. I don't remember. But talk about, being impatient and screwing up a potentially good thing.
Mhm.
I'm giving him the googly eyes. We're flirting, we're talking, but he pretty quickly is like, well, me and my guy friend, we want to go to another bar. Come with us. And I'm like, well, I'm with some friends here, and we're still finishing our drinks, and I need to talk with them. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And I guess he just determined this isn't gonna happen. She's not gonna leave, she's gonna stay with her friends. And I told him, I said, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, he was gone. And I was like, impatient much? Geez, you don't want to work for it at all? I mean, this happened in a relatively short amount of time. It was like maybe 15 minutes we were talking. And when I wasn't immediately like, sure, I'll go with you, he just was like, it's not gonna happen. So I'm moving on. And boy, did he miss out.
Put in the effort. I mean, my goodness. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago when we had Siren on and she said that a guy approached her at a bar one time and she said, hey, if you're planning on roofing me tonight, save the roofie. I'm a sure thing. I think you might have to start, using that line or something, honey.
Well, I'm never going to say I'm a sure thing because I'm not. And, if there's anything like, the episode we did on, when I went out to a different downtown,
Yep.
a different time, and the guy, I mean, bless him, he tried. He worked his magic. He tried so hard. But, in the end, I had told him, like, I'm not doing this tonight.
Mhm.
That wasn't really part of the plan. And so and I stuck to it, and I didn't end up doing him. But, so I'm never a sure thing, but you got to at least try.
Yeah.
Try.
Yeah. Put some effort in. But
Yeah.
the good news is pretty soon after that, you met somebody else. So somebody else caught your eye. So tell me about this guy, how you two met, what first caught your attention about him.
Well, first of all, great. This guy was cuter than the first guy, so score.
What did he look like? Well, first of all, what did the first guy look like? Do you remember?
He wasn't that tall. He was kind of short, kind of skinny, brown hair. I don't remember his eye color, but I don't know. It's hard for me to describe someone. But so that was the first guy, and the second guy was taller, probably 5'10", 5'11", and brown hair, like greenish brown eyes, kind of like a hazel maybe. And I don't know, he was hot. He was good looking.
Yeah, and a little bit younger, right?
Yes, he was a lot younger, but we're not going to say exactly how much younger.
We won't
'Cause I
say
don't want
exactly how much
We're
younger.
not going to give away the lady's age, so.
No, but I mean, you were a connoisseur of guys who are a little bit younger
They
than you.
like me. It's not my fault. They come for me.
They do like you, and you know what? I think it's so hot. I think it's really hot when you hook up with these younger guys, because I mean they're normally in good shape and they have a lot of
Mhm.
stamina, and they can last a little bit longer than me, can't they, honey?
Yes.
So how did the conversation start, and at what point did you think this might actually go somewhere?
I mean, he was very cool. He was one of those guys that was like just very smooth, very like no pressure. Hey, can I buy you a drink? You want to talk a bit? Cool. That'd be nice. Just very, I don't know, very chill. And he actually took the time and spent time talking with me, and um we had a good conversation. It was just like it was surface stuff, but I don't know. He just had a just very relaxed, likable character to him.
Were you guys dancing, or was it that kind of a bar? Or what was it like?
No, it wasn't really a dancing type bar. It was a hangout type bar. I think that they had like some games there, like giant Jenga and things like that. So we played some games and just chatted. And it was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's hot. I'm sorry. Just the thought of you like playing games with him and stuff like that's a turn on. And I shared this before. I think one of the hottest things you do is when you just pick up a guy in a bar and you're just flirting with him in the bar. I think that's so fun, because the two of you, there's so much like sexual energy going on. He's excited, you're excited. I think that's super, super fun. So, but as always, of course, I was being stalker and looking at your locations and and
Of
knowing
course
what
you were.
time the bars close because the bars close at 2.
Hmm.
So I was still up, in total angst at this mode because I had no idea what was happening, no idea if you were going to meet somebody or not. Um, but then when the bars closed at 2, I did notice your location, your little pin, your little face on my phone moving, and it moved out from downtown. And so I was like, oh, she's in a car, she's going somewhere. And so I saw the dot moving. Where did you go?
So
Were you guys in an Uber?
we were,
Hmm.
what should we call him? Joe?
Sure.
Me and Joe,
Mhm.
we were in an Uber and we were heading to, the apartment of one of the girl 2 of the 3 girls were roommates that I was with, and we were heading to her place. And we hung out there for just a little bit, but it was already really getting late, and so we kinda decided, like, maybe this wasn't a good idea because we're starting to get tired, the party's dying down a little bit, and I still wanna take this guy back to my hotel with me. So it didn't take long before we were back in an Uber, back downtown.
Yeah, well, so at one point though, I think it was after you left the girl's house, and again, it wasn't that long. Maybe at this point it's like 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning or
Mhm.
something like that. It wasn't very long. But you texted me. Or no, you didn't text me. You actually called me and you're like, "Hey, do me a favor and text me the address of my hotel," because you was obviously going back to the hotel, so you wanted to know the address. And then I asked you, so did you meet somebody? And you were obviously in an Uber. I didn't hear anybody else, but I asked her, I said, did you meet somebody? And you said, and I quote, "Yep, bye," and then hung up the phone. So what was going through your mind at that point in time? And that was so harsh and cuckoldry. Like it was just such a freaking classic move. What were you thinking?
Well, for one thing, I wasn't gonna give you any info.
Mhm.
I was gonna give you just enough to have you straining against your cage. Um, and also, sorry, I'm in an Uber with another guy, like, I'm not gonna sit there and, like, talk to my husband for a long time.
Yeah, my gosh. At that point in time, I was straining. And it was because at that point in time, I knew for a fact you were with another guy. You told me, and you just, yep, bye. Like the way you said it was just so like, I'm having a good time. Like, leave me the fuck alone. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Gosh, I love when you get like that. It's so fun. And, somebody not in this dynamic would not get that. Right. They would
No, they
just
would
think it's
not. They
totally
think I'm a
rude.
bitch.
Yeah, but it's not bitchy at all. It's like you did. What would have been less fun is if you were to have actually like given me the time of day, like actually engage me a little bit. Like that would have been actually less fun because this was just because then my angst went through the roof because then I was just following your little dot on the phone, and when I saw you get back to your hotel, I knew it was on. And so what happened when you got back to the hotel?
So you've been thinking about it. But turning fantasy into reality takes more than curiosity, it takes direction. I work with couples and individuals to guide you through the conversations and dynamics that make a cuckolding relationship actually work. Those first conversations and introductions to your fantasy are especially critical. Done right, it changes everything. Done wrong, it can break it. If you're ready to do it the right way, book time with me at cuckoldlexie.com.
So we started kind of relaxing, chit-chatting. When I had been out earlier, we're in the South and it's hot here. And so when I was watching the World Cup game, we're sitting outside. And, so I didn't feel like I was in, perfect condition at that point to have sex. So I had him draw me a bath, and I was like, "Yeah, could you do that for me?" And he was like, "Yes, ma'am." And I was like, "What? Okay, I'm not that old. What the hell?" And then he just kinda started acting like a little, like, puppy dog, a little cuck. He was just like, "Your bath is ready, ma'am." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I get in and he's, like, sitting by the side, like, like this excited little thing, and I kind of was, like, getting this, like, serious cuck vibe from him. And so I kinda tested the waters, I don't remember exactly what I said or did, but I kind of was like, go fetch me a towel. And he was like, yes, right away. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. He's a cuck.
So this guy, so you have me at home, you go out to meet a bull,
Bull.
and you ended up bringing home a cuck.
Yeah.
Now, had you, I don't know if you remember this part, but had you told him that you were a cuckoldress, or how did he even like know? If not, that's a pretty big gamble.
I don't think I told him. I don't. I think that he just, maybe because I was a little older, he was really hoping that I would be like, take charge and, be like this. But, um, through the night and through our, fun times and, I just got more and more mean and more like, just really hardcore cuckoldress. And he was eating it up. I mean, he was like, I would say something, he would just like moan while he's between my legs,
Oh my God. Well, we'll get to that in a second. So once you discovered that the dynamic was different, did that kind of change the mood, or were you still interested in doing him, or what was that? What happened when you discovered he was a cuck and not this dominant guy that you thought he was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it did change the mood a little bit. Just like most cucks tend to be men that are in positions of power. At the very least, they're like upper management. A lot of them are entrepreneurs. They own their own business. They are in control every day. They have to make all the decisions. They have people looking up to them, and they have to be dominant. And then that's what they love about cuckolding is they release that control to a loved one and to their spouse or their partner. It's kind of the same thing, here. Like, I'm in a position of power. I manage people, and so I do that every day. And I'm a cuckoldress with you, and so when I go and see my bulls, I'm looking for more of a dominant person, that sort of experience.
Mm.
And so I was, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not a good liar, but I was a little bit, kind of, oh, because I was hoping that he would be more dominant.
Yeah.
And, but, it was still fun. And I still was like, yeah, I'm totally going to do this guy. Like I'm going to be the cuckoldress. I'm going to, um, do what I'm good at. And we had a blast.
Okay, so break down a little bit without sharing like every detail. But you mentioned he was in between your legs and you were saying stuff. What were you saying stuff while he was in between your legs?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that.
Okay,
We're not going to get into that much
we
detail.
don't have to get into that much detail, but you were teasing him throughout the
Yeah,
experience, right?
I was giving him, like I was giving him shit for his oral skills, just to be mean. I was like, God, why can't you be better?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
And he was loving it.
oh man, that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall to see that. But he was loving it, and were you loving it too? I mean, was the sex good?
Yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable. It was, it was good.
And at that point, he's in between your legs or whatever. Am I on your mind at all?
No. No. Why would you be?
Yeah, exactly. No, no, no. And I mean, at that point in time, so when the dot gets to your hotel room, that's when I decide, okay, like I'm going to go to sleep because I know what's about to happen. I know that there's 0% chance I'm going to hear from you again that night. So I just went to sleep at that point in time. I think I woke up multiple times throughout the night, and I always check my phone because sometimes you send me a text or something like that, but not always. And so I didn't expect one that night, which was totally fine. So it was harsh, man. That was one of the harshest ones, one of the most angsty that I got. Because it just threw me for such a loop this night that started one way and then twisted another way. Now I had no idea that this guy was acting like a cuck. I assumed that he was what you normally bring home, a young guy who's just gonna just destroy you. And so that's what I thought was happening in that hotel room. It does sound like you had fun though, and you had a guy service you, so that's always good, right?
Absolutely. For like an hour. It was great. He was down there forever.
Holy shit. Okay.
At least it felt like an hour. I don't know. I wasn't watching the clock.
Lucky guy. Maybe I get that next.
If you're lucky.
So looking back, what surprised you most about the entire experience from the meeting him till the next morning, or, what happened before? Like, what was just like, you look back and you're like, holy crap, I can't believe that happened.
I mean, it was ironic that I happened to meet and take home, which I I don't do that a whole lot. Like, I don't typically go out, meet a guy at a bar, and bring him home that night. That's not something I normally do. But of all the people I could have brought home, I brought home a cuck. It was still so much fun, but it was just like the irony, you know? I mean, I don't like, yes, it's become more mainstream. People are talking about it. People are discovering that they like it. Um, it's great. I just like of all the people, I feel like it was, ironic and that, I'm glad that he felt comfortable enough to basically just lay it on the table with his actions and his words like, hey, I am, a cuckish personality. I want to be dominated, be mean to me. And what was so super funny though was that so he left afterwards and, I went to sleep. And the next morning I look over the side of the bed and there's his socks.
Who leaves? Like, how does that even happen?
No, like I get that it was dark in there, but he left his socks.
That's so bizarre. That's so bizarre. So, for me, hearing this afterwards brought a mix of emotions. So you get home and you're starting to tell me the story, and you're taking a bath, and I'm sitting next to the bath, just like this other guy did
Yep.
hours before, right? So like it's like copy paste.
Yeah, that's like y'all's place.
That's our place. Like sitting there while you're taking a bath, listening to your stories or whatever we're doing. And then you're on your phone and then you notice there's a picture of him on there and you like show me the picture. You're like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
And you show me a picture and it's this guy sitting in your bed with just underwear on. And what did you see on my face? What was the reaction?
I just like a jaw drop.
Yeah, because like that actually, so that actually stung.
Yeah, I feel like it did. Like you kind of like your jaw dropped, and then you kind of just had this like pouty face. Like,
Yeah, it stung. I mean, I saw this young guy with dark hair, your type, with like a good body, like and he was naked in my wife's bed, and you were taking a picture. Why did you even take that picture?
I took it for you.
You did?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I mean, how did you feel like reliving this conversation with me, though?
Right now?
Or even afterwards, when you got home that day?
I mean,
You like telling me the stories, don't you?
of course I do. I mean, I love your reactions.
Mm-hmm.
They're always fun, and I feel like this was such a different story. I've never come to you and been like, guess what? I met and fucked a cuck. So it was definitely like I think it seemed like maybe you enjoyed it. A lot just in a different way. And it was like a whole new world for you, it felt like.
Well, I just couldn't believe that you had a guy who was, and I know the way that we are, us as submissive cucks or whatever, and we just like are in awe of a woman like you who's strong. So that I guess was the turn on for me is knowing this guy was just like in awe of you, and you could tell he was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hot that he was just enjoying you so much. I would much rather you with a dominant guy, a guy who's just gonna take you and just really give you what you're looking for. That's what I prefer. But this was a nice little change of pace.
It was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you could go back and relive that night, is there anything you'd do differently, or was it what the second half of the night was it kind of the experience you were looking for?
Yeah, I don't think I would change it. I mean, it was, just because it wasn't what I had really set out for and wanted, as far as, a dominant guy versus, a cuckold, I still feel like it was a great experience and I wouldn't change it. I had fun.
Yeah, that was super fun. Like that whole because remember the guy that you took back to the hotel room and you didn't do, that was the first time that you would ever surprise cut me is what I called it. Where I wasn't expecting because normally I know, like normally it's a guy you've talked.
Surprise cucked you many times.
I don't know. Have you? But maybe that was the first time that you had gone out without me, and then you ended up back at a hotel with somebody.
I literally did that when I was out with your friend.
You're right. That was the night. That
you literally called it surprise cucking.
Right. That was the first time.
Yeah.
So I think this was only like the second or third time that you had done something like that.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so fun. But this one was even more fun because on the night that you went out with my friend, I thought that there was a chance something was going to happen. And on this night, there was so many twists and turns from I was sure something was going to happen and then it changed. And then you went out and there was just radio silence for hours. And I knew that you were on the prowl. You were Lexie on the prowl. And I know what Lexie on the prowl is like. And she's super fun. She's super, super fun, super flirty. And I knew that there was a pretty good chance if there was a decent looking guy there that he was going to have a good time. And so I thought it was a really fun night. I enjoyed it. I hope we can do something like that again very, very soon. How does this weekend look for you, honey?
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, that was the story of that night, which I thought was a really fun night. And we wanted to share that story with you all just because every now and then we like to share one of our stories. And, sometimes we talk about, certain topics on the show. Sometimes we have guests, but every once in a while we like to share one of our fun stories because Lexie has so darn many of them and we've got many more coming. We've got a pretty good one coming soon. How do you like that tease, honey?
That's a nice one.
All right. Well, why don't we go into a listener question?
Alrighty, so this one is from Atlanta, Georgia, and he said, my wife and I have been in the cuckold lifestyle for about a year, and something unexpected has happened. I've started to enjoy hearing about her experiences even more than watching them. Is this a common progression, or am I the only one?
You want me to take that one?
I think you should take that one.
This is an awesome question. When I saw this question, I was like, yes, like this is like I was like, this is a real cuck because sometimes you get questions or stories and you can tell right away that they're not real. But this one I knew was real because I've had similar emotions. So at the beginning, we did everything together, right? Like I was always in the room. I was normally participating.
Yeah, we started off with like threesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the farther it got away from that, the more and more you're alone. And I like a mix. I think I said this on our episode with the Bull Brotherhood is I like a mix. Like sometimes I like to be there and sometimes I don't like to be there. But I would say which one actually is hotter for me is when I'm not. I like not being there. I do like getting a picture or two or something like that or a little video. But I think it's hotter when I'm not there because then you're not trying to put on a show for me.
Yeah.
Like you're just having a good time. I mean, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer me being there or not being there?
No.
Not being there? Why is that?
For that very reason.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I am having to put on a show for you, worry about if you're enjoying the show. I get to focus just on the one person, as opposed to having to worry about a second person.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. And I really, because I think if I always wanted to be present, like in my view, that would be a little bit selfish on my part because part of this is about you just having a fun time and you living your best life, right? Like that's ultimately what I want is for you to go out and live your best life. And that, sometimes I can drag you down, if I'm there, like I'll ruin your game or you're
Yeah,
like,
guys don't want to come up to me if you're there.
right, exactly. So,
Doesn't matter if we're wearing rings or not. Like they're just like, oh, nope.
yeah. It's too bad because I try to help them out sometimes.
It is too bad because I actually really enjoy the first part. Like I enjoy going out with you. I'd like you to be there with me. It sucks sometimes, being alone
Mhm.
in a place, like it just feels awkward and it sucks. I love if you could just be there and guys would still come up to me.
Okay, well, we'll fix that on Friday night. But, to answer your question, listener in Atlanta, I think it might be a progression. I think it is because the more you're in this lifestyle, the more you kind of push boundaries farther and farther and farther. And I think one of the reasons why at the beginning I wanted to be present is just like fear, right? Like I didn't know what was going to happen. I wanted to be there. I wanted to see it. And when I'm there now, there's pretty much no fear. No matter what's happening to you, if I'm there, there's really no angst. There might be some jealousy, but even that is really reduced. Like there's not a lot of it. It almost just feels like it feels like I'm part of it. So it doesn't feel like there's anything to be jealous of. Even if I'm not actively participating, it feels like I'm part of the scene. Does that make sense?
Yes and no. I think that's interesting that just because you're there and watching it, that the jealousy subsides and the angst subsides. Like I'm still getting fucked by someone else.
Yeah.
Like you would think that there'd still be a pretty strong response.
I mean, there really isn't. And I think part of it is because every time I've been present, the guy has been super cool. So it's not like it's like a random guy that come over and like I don't even talk to them or they're like mean to me. So normally it's like, beforehand we're like high-fiving and it's all good and like, it's cool. And then afterwards we're cool too. So it doesn't feel like it's a rival.
Well, we don't allow guys to be mean to you. And if they have that sort of personality, we're not interested.
Right, exactly. So I guess if there was somebody who was a little bit more dominant, maybe I would feel a little bit more
And
intimidated.
other people doing that, that's fine. I
Yeah.
get it that to each their own, there are plenty of other people out there that the husband, the wife, both, they want the bull to be very active and to be mean and be, to give out that humiliation aspect, and that's fine, for other people. Everything is fine, but we don't prefer that, and so that's why we don't ever have bulls that are mean to you.
Right, exactly. And so I guess that reduces the angst. Is I've never been in the room with a guy and seen him as a competitor, because there is no competitor between us and our marriage, first of all. And secondly, the guys have just all been really cool. But when they're not there and I don't meet them, I have no idea what their personality is like. And the other thing I know is when I'm present, the guy is aware I'm present too. So I feel like sometimes they're a little bit more gentle with you when I'm there. And when I'm not there, they have free reign to just do whatever the hell they want. Because do you remember like our honeymoon story? You know, when me and the guy from London went downstairs to get snacks, Russia went to town.
Yeah, he went a little overboard. I was like, dude, chill." Like,
Right.
he went really rough on me, and I had to be like, "Stop." Like, "Calm down."
Yeah, but again, that goes to prove the point. Like when I'm present,
Yeah.
like there is a little bit more toned down. When I'm not present, like the angst is up because I know they're just unfettered.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna do what they want. So yeah, I think it can be a natural, normal progression. I think that's something that you'll notice within this dynamic and this lifestyle is you'll see your boundaries being pushed.
Mhm.
You'll see rules change, and you'll see yourself do more and more, risque or extreme things. Just make sure that you always have a discussion with your partner about that afterwards to make sure that everybody is cool still, that everybody's good, that everybody's on the same page. I think that's critical. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think that sums it up.
So that is our listener question for this week. Please send us more listener questions. We really want to
Yeah.
hear from you all, and we love answering these. So make sure you send us a fan mail. To do that, just go to the show notes and click send fan mail, or you can email us podcast@cuckoldslexie.com. So that is the story from when you went downtown. And so, thinking about this, sometimes the nights you think are going to go one way and they take a completely different path. And this was one of those nights where we thought it was going to go one way and it took a completely different path.
So I did.
And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe to us, that you like the podcast, give us a 5-star rating. Please leave an actual rating too. We would really appreciate that. The more ratings we get, the more folks are able to find this content. And we really want people to listen, because we really on this podcast promote not only alternative relationship dynamics, but healthy practices within those dynamics, the communication, the trust, all of those things. We are just such strong believers in that. And we really want to ensure healthy relationships in a dynamic that can be, can go sideways if you're not careful with that. And make sure that you also subscribe to Lexie's Fansly. That's where she shares a lot more of her wild adventures and pictures and all that kind of stuff. And it's my favorite thing is when you are out and you post an update on Fansly. That is the best. And I love it because sometimes I don't even see the update till the next day and people have commented on it and stuff. So other guys have seen it and I haven't even done it yet. But thanks for spending your time with us, and we'll see you next week on the Cuckold Marriage Podcast. You want to say bye, Lexie?
Bye, guys.
Bye.